Good morning everyone, and welcome back to Stamp with Anna. Today I'm going to show you the first of 3 cards that we made at a recent holiday card class. And we made a Hanukkah card, a Christmas card, and just a general season's greetings card. So today I'm going to start off with the Merry Christmas card. And I absolutely love this. I think it looks like a nice stained glass candle here. And the beautiful birch background stamp just adds so much to it. It gives it a nice, soft, warm look. And it's got a lot of steps to it, but it actually comes together quicker than you would imagine. So let's put this aside and let me tell you what we have for supplies. Our card base is crumb cake, and it's cut at your usual A2 size, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Then we have a piece of Whisper White for the outside of our card, and this is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Then we have a piece of vellum cardstock, which is 3 3/4 by 5. And finally, we have another piece of Whisper White for the inside of our card, which is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. So there are a lot of supplies that we're using for today. So rather than lay them all out for you at the beginning, I'll just describe them as I get to that part of the card. So the first thing I want to do is make my background. So I'm bringing in my Whisper White, which is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and I'm going to ink that up with this Birch background stamp set. This is fairly new, and if you follow me, you know I buy all of my background stamp sets on wood because I don't have to remount it onto a block, and it's easier for me to just lay it down and put my card right on top of this rather than have to stamp it this way. With my arthritis in my hand, this works a little easier for me. So with that being said, I have my Birch stamp face up, and I'm going to come in with my crumb cake, and I'm going to ink that up. Okay, I think that's good and inked up. Now I'm going to turn it this way because, as you see on my card, my birch lines are going up and down. So I'm going to bring in my Whisper White, and I'm going to just place that on top of my stamp. Then I'm going to come in with a piece of scrap paper and just press to make sure that I get nice, even coverage here. Okay. And with my pickup tool, I'm going to just lift this up, and there we go. We have a beautiful birch background. I'm going to put that aside. Now I want to attach that to my card base. And I'm just a little bit of snail. And this is a very small border here, and the reason I did that was because I wanted as much of the birch to show as possible when I put my vellum on. If I had made this any smaller, I don't think you'd get the same effect. So while I have my ink out, I'm going to bring in the inside Whisper White, which is 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to use 2 sets for this. My sentiment comes from the new God's piece. This is in the holiday catalog, and this is where our candle is from too. It has beautiful sentiments, and I'm going to use this one. May you feel the glow of God's peace at Christmas. Get it, glow candle. So I thought that was perfect. So again, with my crumb cake, I'm going to ink that up, and I'm going to bring that kind of make sure I have it going the right way, kind of above center. Now when I did this with the ladies at class, we just did that. Then after I was getting things ready for my videos, I decided I wanted to add something else to the inside of the card. So I'm going to bring in my Pierce mat, and from the stamp set that's called Merry Christmas to All, which is what we're going to use for the outside, I'm going to use this little squiggly line here, and it does have some nice little flourishes just to add a little touch, nice touch to the card. So I'm going to use the long flourish, and I'm going to ink that up, and because it's photopolymer, I am going to use my stamp mat, and I'm just going to come right underneath here and stamp that, and it just adds another little layer to the card. So now I'm going to attach that to the inside of my card. Alright. And now we have all of our basics out of the way. All we have to do now is work on our gorgeous stained glass image. So I'm going to put that aside. So for this, we're going to use the Stamparatus, simply because if we make a mistake and don't get good coverage, we really don't want to ruin the rest of the card by trying to realign things. So I already have my stamps mounted on here. So let me tell you again, the candle is coming from God's Peace, and this Merry Christmas right here comes from this stamp set that's called Merry Christmas to All. And again, that's where we got the flourish, and I'm going to use the Merry and Christmas. And this stamp set does have a coordinating Thinlit die set, and it has a die to cut out this label, and it also has excuse me, there's two labels, an inside, a bigger one and a smaller one, and then it has large Christmas, holidays, merry, and happy. So you can mix and match the sentiments with the die cuts. That's pretty versatile. So anyway, I have both of my plates attached to my Stamparatus, and one stamp, as you can see, is red rubber, and the other stamp is photopolymer. So I'm going to need two different mats here. So with the red rubber one, because I'm nice and close up to the hinge here, I do want to have something to give this a little bit of lift so that I make good contact right up to the very top. So I have my thin mat in there. Going to bring in my vellum, which is 3 3/4 by 5, and I'm going to tuck it right up in that corner. Then I have my two magnets from the Stamparatus. Oh my goodness, and I've got them stuck together here. One moment. Oh darn. These magnets are so strong. I'm going to take one and just put it up at the top here, and one down here, and I know for sure they're out of my way. Now, because I'm working on vellum, I really want to be careful. I'm going to make sure that I get rid of all of my static. So I'm going to rub this with my embossing buddy. Now I'm going to bring in my Versamark ink, and let me just scooch this over so you can see. I'm going to put a stamp case underneath here so this is nice and flat, and I'm going to ink this up with my Versamark. And now I'm going to bring this down and press. Now, I'm going to open it up and see if I've gotten good coverage, and I have. If I hadn't, because I used the Stamparatus, I could just re-ink that and come right back down, making sure, of course, that my paper is up in that corner. Now, I'm not going to do the other side yet, because I have to change my plates, and if I do that, I'm going to get more oils on my paper. So I'm going to do it separately. I'm going to carefully take out my beautifully stamped vellum, and again I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper, and I'm going to emboss this with gold embossing powder. I just love the gold embossing powder for the holidays. It's beautiful anytime, but for the holidays it's just so nice. So carefully going to just sprinkle that over, making sure I get all the spots. I'm going to give it a little tap 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 on the back, and if I see anything that I didn't get with a fine paintbrush, I'm just going to come in and scooch it off. Alright, so that's done. I'm going to put this back in my container. Now, one thing you have to remember when you're embossing this stamp set, we're going to color from behind. And see the ferns here, they are very thin. If you overheat your embossing powder when you're melting it, it's going to squeeze together and you're not going to have any space to be able to color. So with that being said, I'm going to turn on my heat emboss tool, give it just a second to heat up, and I'm going to move around, and you can see that it's going to, you can watch it melt. So you can see where it's going. See how it's melting right there? And you're just going to move back and forth, especially being careful when you're at the ferns, because you want to make sure you don't melt that powder too much. Okay, so just keep it moving. And if you just follow in a pattern, you can see where you can get it all and you won't miss any spots. I love heat embossing. I think it's just so magical. Now, some people, when they're embossing on vellum, will choose to emboss from behind. I've never really gotten into doing that. This seems to work for me as long as I'm conscientious of the fact that it is vellum and it will warp if I over emboss or get it too hot. So I'm just going to finish this up right here. And see how quickly that goes? It's just so magical. Right there, I didn't get it. Okay, and just give it a once over, make sure everything is nice and embossed. Okay, isn't that just beautiful? All right, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to bring my Stamparatus back in, and I'm going to change my plates. I'm going to move my magnets. I'm going to change this plate to, this one is fairly new. It's a little thicker, and it also has a grid, but it's a plastic coated grid and a foam on the back. But the magnet does work beautifully, even through the plastic. I'm going to bring my vellum back in, and again, I'm going to just make sure it's nice and flush with that corner. And I'm going to put one magnet there and one magnet here. And again, oh, this is a little warped here. Again, I'm going to come in with my embossing buddy, and I'm going to just rub that where my sentiment is going to be. Now again, with my Versamark, I'm going to put a stamp pad, a stamp box behind there. And I'm going to ink that up and bring it in. And I'm going to lift this again. And I think I got it all, but you know what? I think I'm going to just, it's better safe than sorry. I'm going to come in and just do that again. All right, perfect. Looks like I have a nice stamp there. I'm going to move this out of the way. And now I'm going to do the same thing and emboss the Merry Christmas. Okay. It's my gold powder. Looks good. Yep. And now I'm going to heat emboss this. And this will go quick because it's only a little bit. See how quick that goes? Oh my goodness, it's just so beautiful. And that's it. Now we have to color this. So we're going to color with some blendabilities. Stampin' Blends. And I have 5 different colors here. For the ferns, I'm going to use the dark shaded spruce. For the candles and the inside of my poinsettia, I'm going to use dark daffodil delight. For my candles, I'm going to use light rich raspberry. For my poinsettia, I'm going to use dark real red. And for my ribbon, I'm going to use dark old olive. Now, normally when I color with the blends, I use the thick tip because I'm usually coloring in something thick, wide. So, but this time I'm going to be using the thin tip more often than the thick. So here is, I see where all my ferns are. I'm going to turn this over, and I'm just going to color all of the ferns. Now this will take a bit because there is quite a bit of ferns, so I'm not going to have you sit and watch me do that. I'm going to turn off my camera and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm all done coloring my fern. Now when I turn this over, look how beautiful that is. And because I didn't over melt my embossing powder, my ferns still have enough room in there to show the green through. So now I'm going to turn it back over, and I'm going to do my poinsettia, and I'm going to use the dark real red. And this is a larger area, so I'm just going to use the thick end of my marker. And because this is thick, it goes really nicely and quickly. And I'm not doing any shading on this vellum. I'm just coloring in. You certainly could get fancy and shade. Now I'm going to turn it over and make sure that I got everything I wanted to get. And I see I missed just a tiny bit right there. So I'm going to come in and just add a little bit more there. Now with my Daffodil Delight, I'm going to just do the center here. And again, I'm going to turn it over and make sure that I got enough coverage of where I want it. Okay, I see two more little tiny spots that I missed. One there. And one here. And there we go. Isn't that beautiful? Now I'm going to do the same with the candles. The candles again are rich raspberry, the light rich raspberry. And these go quick because it's a nice wide area. Okay, and the Daffodil Delight again for my flames. And the thin old olive for my ribbon. And I liked the thin old olive because you can see where this ribbon bends. It's really a tiny spot. And I thought if I used my thick marker, I might end up going outside the line and you'd be able to see it when I turned it over. Okay, now I'm going to flip it over and see if I'm happy with it. And yes, I am. So all of our coloring is done. Now this next step, we're going to add this little distressing here, if you can see that. And to do that, I have this tool. It's from Tim Holtz. And I don't remember what it's called, but I'll look it up and I'll put the link in the bottom of the video. And you can see it has little blades in here. So we're going to use that to tear the paper. Now if you're using this on cardstock, it goes a lot quicker and it's smoother. Because this is vellum, it's a little more difficult, but it's doable. So you just put your paper right in there and pull towards you. And you want to have this face up so that you can get the full effect. Okay, and just do this on all four sides, and you can do as much or as little as you want. And it does, because it's vellum, it works a lot better if you've got a nice hold on the paper. And you're not looking to mutilate your paper, you're just looking to give it a little bit of, like it's a torn edge. Okay. All right. We have one more side to go. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. So now what I'm going to do is bring in my crumb cake again. And with the sponge dauber, I'm going to ink that up. And I'm just lightly going to go over the edges here. And that's going to give it a weathered antique look. Like it's a very vintage piece of paper. And again, like I said, you could do as much or as little distressing as you like. I just wanted something subtle for my project. And you will notice, because it is vellum and it is a rough edge, it really does do a number on your dauber. So you'll probably have to replace your dauber after you do a few of these cards. Okay, so now our vellum is all done. And you'll notice that it twirls up. So gently, you want to just roll that to kind of put it back as flat as possible. You want to be careful, because if you roll too hard, you just may end up creasing it. And there you go, nice and flat now. Now we have to attach this, and here's that big problem. How do we attach on vellum without the adhesive showing through? Well, this one was pretty simple, and I used glue dots. And I just strategically placed them. I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to put a glue dot right there in the center of my poinsettia. Okay, I'm going to put that right there. Now I know I'm going to put a bow right here, so I'm going to put another glue dot right there. I'm centering the glue dot like right above that R. And now I'm going to place this on top. And you do want to make sure you get it squared so that the edges don't come up. Okay, there we go. Now I have a bow that I made. And this, I don't think this ribbon is available anymore. It's this gold. It came in a package of 2. It's 3/8 inch, and it came in gold and silver. And you know me, if I have it, I use it. So if you don't have this one, any pretty gold ribbon would work. I'm going to put another glue dot down, and I'm just going to add my bow. And now things are secure. Now, you see here, it comes up just a tiny bit. And if I just take my finger and roll that, it flattens out. Same thing right here. I'm just rolling that, and it flattens out. Now, when you do have an overlay over a card, sometimes it does lift. And that's, I think, part of the design. If that bothers you, you can do a lot of different things. You can take another glue dot and just put it right here behind the ribbon, and you probably won't see it too much. Or what you can do, and I've done this a couple times, bear with me while I get my supplies. I didn't think I was going to do this. Hold on one sec, I'll be right back. Okay, so I have some Tombow liquid glue, and I'm going to put it on my silicone mat. Just a tiny bit. Now I have a quartered sponge, and I'm lightly, very lightly is the key. Lightly, very lightly. Have some adhesive there. I'm going to just rub that on my vellum. And you can see, you cannot see that at all. And that is flat down. I'm going to do it again down here. Lightly, very lightly. And then just tap that right there. And again, you can't see that at all. Did not come through at all. Maybe I'm going to do a little more here while I'm at it. Why not, right? And the key is to lightly attach that adhesive. And there we go. See, it's nice and flat. I'm going to bring it up nice and close. And you cannot, oops, gotta push this. And you cannot see where I put that adhesive. On this one, I didn't have to do it at all because it stayed beautifully. So there we have the first of our holiday cards. This is Merry Christmas with a beautiful stained glass candle. If you have any questions at all about this project or any of the products that I used, certainly contact me through my blog, www.stampwithanna.blogspot.com. And if you don't have a demonstrator with whom you work, and you would like to receive more information about Stampin' Up! And receive a catalog, certainly let me know. I'll be glad to drop it in the mail to you. Thanks so much, and have a great day.